This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com. And Ric Flair tweeted this picture from tonight in Miami. He's hanging out with Mike Tyson, who, of course, was all over the news today because last night, he was about to take a flight from San Francisco to Florida. And there was a drunken, intoxicated guy harassing him. For some reason, he didn't have any bodyguards on him, and the flight staff were not stopping this guy, which you would think if Mike Tyson's on your plane and you're a flight attendant, that would be somebody that you keep an eye on, not just because he's a celebrity, but because his reputation, and if someone's harassing him, you'd think you'd be right in there. He did nail the guy. I mean, the guy had a bit of an injury, as you can see from this picture from TMZ, but really that's nothing. That's really nothing, and well deserved. And apparently the San Francisco Police Department told TMZ that officers did respond to the scene, and they detained two people that they believed to be involved in the incident. One of those people was treated for non-life-threatening injuries, and that person provided minimal detail on the incident and refused to cooperate further with the police investigation. And the San Francisco Police Department is aware of the video, and it's been forwarded to the county sheriff's office. And by the way, Mike Tyson did not stay on that flight. He left after that altercation occurred. And as I said, when I initially reported it, when I used to train at the Montreal Wrestling Club, George St. Pierre would also train there. And whenever he would come, he would have a bit of an entourage. Not a huge entourage, but he always had like people with him. And I always thought to myself, why does GSP need people with him? He's one of the best fighters in the world. But incidents like this happen, so I can understand why you need bodyguards or an entourage. Chael Sonnen recently had something that now there's a legal situation out of with some people that were in an altercation with him at a hotel bar. There's, of course, that whole George Masvidal thing outside of a steakhouse recently, which, by the way, I did watch Mike Tyson's appearance on Logan Paul's podcast recently, as well as George Masvidal's, and I enjoyed them both. Mike Tyson ate a massive amount of mushrooms, which I've never tried mushrooms, but for the amount of mushrooms that Mike Tyson ate on that podcast, it's amazing. He was able to function fairly normally throughout the whole podcast overall, compared to some people would freak out. But I guess he's used to it. I've never tried them. I worry too much about hallucinogenic drugs. I would never. I'm so focused on training these days, I didn't even realize it was 420 yesterday until the day was almost over when a fan messaged me happy 420. But I'm focusing on training. Of course, Dynamite had their big announcement last night. That was a not so big announcement that AEW is going to be working with New Japan, which they already have been. And they only did a 0.37 rating, with the viewership actually down from the previous week. And as I mentioned yesterday, I still have it on here. I didn't take it off yet. If you look at my views over the past year in the light blue, about 39 million. New Japan in the purple only has about 13. And Ring of Honor in the darker blue only has about 26 million. Now, keep in mind, Ring of Honor was owned by Sinclair Broadcasting, a massive corporation. New Japan's highly well-funded. And I am a part-time gym attendant at a recreation facility. That people love to act like I am rich, but my money comes from wrestling. The money that I use to fund my trips and my content comes from the content. So it sure as hell doesn't come from my minimum wage job that I just do for fun. But it's funny that me with a high school education and a minimum wage job can beat large corporations in views. And how is that possible? Through hard work and talent. But I do work very hard. Last piece of news, Pat McAfee is apparently in talks with Amazon for a role on their Thursday Night Football program. Of course, he used to be an NFL punter. So he's already making a fortune for his podcast. And I don't know what his WWE money is, but it's probably up there as well. Oh, by the way, Ezekiel Jackson, who had an interview on this channel recently, if you look up Ezekiel Jackson, the Hannibal TV, was on The Price is Right today. I'll get into some of your questions now. Good evening, Al. Hey, David, Doug Masters, who checked in on the Dutch Mantel podcast. Dutch Mantel did a podcast on this channel about an hour or so ago on the Victory Road pay-per-view, Victory Road 11, where Sting had the infamous match with the intoxicated Jeff Hardy. Doug Masters, of course, is a territory wrestler. We would have him on for an interview, but he doesn't seem to know how to use StreamYard, unfortunately. Maybe I'll run into him in person one day. Hello, David. Yeah, that guy deserved it. I'm sorry, but that guy deserved it. And the flight crew should have stepped in. There's only so much a person should have to take. And I'm like that too. I thought that Mike Tyson took a lot without actually striking him. I mean, he could have done something other than strike him. Like, people would try that with me as a bouncer. Sometimes people would test you. And then at a certain point, you just snap. Now, of course, I wouldn't throw punches unless they're throwing punches at me, or I'd get fired and charges. By the way, for everyone that likes to say I'm crazy, I just play my wrestling role pretty well because I was a bouncer for about 18 years without one assault charge on me, which is pretty damn good considering the amount of times I was attacked. And I also worked in security for about that same period of time, 2001-ish to 2018-ish. Gary also saw that Tyson was with Ric Flair tonight. That was pretty cool. Barbara, yeah, I did an awesome workout, actually. I did 251 floors, 251 flights of stairs. And I also did shoulders and traps at the gym, and I'm going to do DDP yoga later. I'm going to get 2 workouts in tomorrow. I've also been dieting. But it's funny. I'm over 270 again right now. I'm getting into good shape for my Blood Hunter Thirst and Rage movie that we're planning to film as soon as the end of June, which I'm really looking forward. David, I've had duck before and I really didn't like it. To be perfectly honest with you. I like the duck pate better than the duck. Jason, I had a wonderful day. I like that the weather's getting better. Lord Colin says Tyson versus Will Smith. I think the Will Smith thing is overrated. Who really cares? Honestly, who the hell cares? There's people dying in the Ukraine. A little slap where nobody got injured, it didn't draw blood. Like, who the hell cares? If somebody insulted, I don't have a girlfriend or a wife, but because I still love my ex-wife, if someone insulted her in front of me, I would do worse than slap them. And one thing I found working at a comedy club, which I worked as a bouncer at a comedy club for a while too. Now Chris Rock took the slap. Like he took it. But like I find that these comedians, they will attack people in the crowd and like really go after them. And the moment the people in the crowd start to stay stuff back, the comedians then want you to kick them out as a bouncer. So that's one of the reasons why I hated working in a comedy club. I was thinking, oh, this is going to be easy. Comedy club. But all of these comedians are highly insecure, a lot of them. I remember Tom Green made them turn all the TVs off in the bar when he got on stage for one of his acts because he found that the TVs were distracting. So I don't know. Someone says the guy that Tyson hit was pretty much after asking for it. David, I went to the IHOP for breakfast with Vader before we did the shoot interview, where we each had about 2 or 3 breakfasts. Barbara says most of the people she wants me to interview are already dead. Well, I got Greg Valentine on Saturday and Stacy the cat, former girlfriend of Jerry Lawler, on Sunday. Do wrestlers do matches while tripping on shrooms or stoned? Well, stoned, I think I can attest I've done matches stoned. But I've also bounced stoned. I can act. Weed doesn't have much effect on me. Sabu, I can tell you, both matches that we had together, we both were high during those matches because I smoked the weed with him before the matches. Yeah, I don't find if you were to give weed to someone that's never had it before and they're not used to the effects, it could really affect them. But I found as a bouncer, when you're stoned, it would actually help your temperament. You could deal with people a lot better stoned. But I don't really make a habit. I'm more of a pot. I take THC more towards bedtime usually. But as I said, it makes me hungry. That's the main effect that I don't like about it, is you eat too much. Although somebody did give me, there was 2 occasions this year. One guy brought me like this special cigar that had like weed crystals in it. And it was so strong that for about 24 hours, it made me paranoid. And then someone else brought me a bong here, which I made a video, and it also made me paranoid. I took it down. Some girl brought a bong over. So yeah, I'm not used to having bongs, but it could have been the type of weed. But most weed just has a relaxing effect on me. And of course, weed is legal here in Canada. David, well, watch the interview live. I'll be taking fan questions. Cass is looking forward to the Blood Hunter movie. Dan says bust out the bar rats for Tyson and Flair. Eli, the Sheik's handlers don't let him do interviews anymore. They keep him under, he's very tightly protected these days. He agreed to do a shoot interview with me in Iowa a few years ago. He verbally agreed to do one with me. Then the Megan boys, the guys that run his Twitter and Virgil's Twitter, and they're one of Sheik's agents jumped in there and said, no, he's not doing the shoot interview with you. Dan, yeah, my bench is still going up. Doug checking in from Indiana says congrats. Barbara, no, nothing on Tammy Sitch, aka Sunny. I don't know why the toxology report. It's now April 21st, and the accident that she was in where the guy died was March 25th. So it's almost been a month, and they still don't have the toxicology report. I find that strange. El Spicy, I don't think Tyson beat him up that bad. It just looked like a couple little scratches on him. I mean, he could have done a lot more. And the guy gets his 15 minutes of fame. Really? There you go. Dan says, try not to spike anyone. Well, the Blood Hunter's gimmick is to hurt people, much like Abdullah the Butcher used a fork and the Sheik used a pencil. So whenever he gets back in the ring, which at the latest is going to be September the 3rd, you can expect extreme violence. And that's what the fans like, and that's what makes him popular. B40 says, honestly, I've not been following hockey at all. I was bitter because of something to do with hockey tickets that I'm not going to get into. That was a huge waste of money for me for an unappreciative bitch. JM says, I have no idea who Jayla is. Dan says, stick to working at strip clubs. Strip clubs, the problem with working at strip clubs is their gang environments. And the people that hang out in strip clubs are very heavy. So although more often than not, you don't get as many fights in the strip clubs, when stuff goes down in the strip clubs, you're dealing with major stuff because these are people that do not fuck around. So overall, strip clubs are more dangerous, I would say, even though on a night-to-night basis, they're not. When stuff goes down, it can really go down bad. Young Macho Savage, there is an Ivelisse interview on this channel. Search up Ivelisse, the Hannibal TV. Superstar's doing all right. Follow him on Facebook at Billy Graham. David, I think I would have fit in ECW. I would have fit in really well. And I'm friends with a lot of those ECW guys. So I think I would have done really well there. Dan, I'm not really a big sports fan, to be honest. I don't mind going to hockey games here and there, but I don't follow it closely. I like Montreal because it's my favorite city. Mike hates Vince Russo. I don't mind him. There's far worse people in the wrestling business than Vince Russo. Vince Russo, at least, is a man of his word as far as he's not late to interviews. He sticks to his times, doesn't try to cut them short, gives thorough answers. And I actually would consider him a friend of mine. I'd be there if he needed my help for something. And if I ever had a booking committee, if I ever had like a wrestling company that had a TV show or had very good funding, I would definitely want him as an ideas man. 100%. Wade, Vince, I don't know what you're talking about. Vince is not unemployed. He has a whole podcasting network. Maybe you guys don't know this, but there's a lot of money to be made on the internet. And Vince also made a lot of money in the wrestling business and was successful. He booked TNA during the time it was getting its highest ratings, and he booked WWE in the time it was getting its highest ratings. And when he was booking it, it was a hell of a lot better than it is now. So say what you want about him. I didn't like all of his stuff, didn't like his WCW stuff, but I'd rather watch his WCW stuff than the crap that's on TV now. But definitely, as I got to know him and have been in the wrestling business, I gained more respect for him than just hearing about him from people that had bones to pick with him. Anyways, that's a ton of questions. Thank you, guys. Appreciate all the support. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Thank you, Wade. Well, I am the #1 shoot interviewer on the internet. That's a fact. The only person that I would say is a more popular shoot interviewer than me is Steve Austin, but his interviews are on the WWE Network. So there you go. Wayne, I only have Piper here and there because my ex-wife also has Piper. So have a great night. Again, please subscribe, like this video, and follow us on Facebook at The Hannibal TV. We stream all of these ad-free on Facebook. Thank you for watching The Hannibal TV. Please help me out and like this video, then click the subscribe and get notifications buttons so you don't miss any of my latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Follow us on Facebook at The Hannibal TV for more live streams and videos. And while you're at it, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at The Hannibal TV.